This is Atlanta Progressive News, news you can use. If you've got the blues, we've got the clues. The story of Atlanta Progressive News is, a few years ago, I started to see, really related to the run-up to the invasion of Iraq, just how bad some of the reporting was and how, I mean, it just seemed like they were just trying to push the invasion. And also the advent of electronic voting. Some of these things just, I don't know if media got worse or whether we just started to notice. But my belief is that not the individual journalists, but a lot of these corporate media institutions really do serve a function which is a propaganda function, which is, and media has a lot of power. Media really, really does have a lot of power because that's how people get their whole reality. And if you look at how do the capitalists and the credit card companies and how do they achieve this structure, and the media is really a big part of it. And I think there's a lot of journalists who want to be professional, but they found themselves trapped in it. So I'm not saying that this is something that journalists intend, but unfortunately, if you go to work for the Atlanta Journal Prostitution, or for the Associated Oppressors, or one of these, that's unfortunately all that you're going to be able to write. So I was writing really on the internet a lot. I wrote for some different national, really, websites there started to be an advent of internet news, not just blogging, but actual real internet news. And some of the agencies I would write for were Alternet.org, CommonDreams.org, BuzzFlash. There's another really good one, RawStory.com, I used to write for them. I think they're one of the best. We cover, major exclusives. Locally, electronic voting. There were, during the last, we have a 2-page spread on this in this issue that I gave to you guys. There were actually, during the primaries in 2006, reports, and we obtained affidavits, that voters were pressing the electronic voting machines for one candidate, and the machine was flipping their votes before their very eyes from one candidate to another. And we were the only news agency to report this. And I used to think that maybe the people who are involved in these things, the progressive organizations, the progressive groups, maybe they're just not doing outreach. Maybe they've gotten so fed up that they don't take the time to call or email. But no, that's not true. I was at the same press conferences. I would cover the same press conferences as, and I would get the same emails as everybody else. But we would be the only ones to cover it. So, I actually saw, it was actually Cynthia McKinney who lost, who was one of the congresspersons who lost in a questioned election. And she stood there in front, every TV station was there, and she looked at them and said, "We have affidavits of voters who said that their votes were flipped." And I saw it with my own eyes. Not a word. Not a word. And that's our democracy. That's really fundamental. So, and there's so much that we cover, and I really want to end on a note of please support independent media. The conservative, and I don't even like to call them conservative because they don't want to conserve anything except for their greed. Yeah. So the right wingers, right? They have think tanks. Do you know that they actually will fund, conservative media, and so there's just look at Fox News. What is Fox News? And they have a lot of money for what they do. The right wing has their stuff together. They really put a lot of investment into influencing the media, infiltrating the media, starting their own media, and the left has not done this. And so I really urge people to look at the fact that, I mean, there's probably other small newspapers, depending on where you are, that are struggling. And people just kind of be like, oh, well, someone else will take care of that. But that really is not true. And so I just see progressive groups struggling and begging and pleading, and and it's like, oh, well, someone will only come if there's an altercation or someone gets arrested or something. But shouldn't news agencies come just because the issue is important? So my feeling is that progressive groups spend a lot of time kind of strategizing how to break into a corporate media system that's set up to absolutely not support, to undermine what they're doing. I mean, and we have Democrats who run for, I won't even name names, but Democrats who run for major offices in Georgia, governor, secretary of state. Do you know they raise millions of dollars? They spend all their money on television ads and consultants who are often based in Washington, D.C. What are we doing? Why are we supporting a media structure? And then every decision that gets made, I mean, why is impeachment off the table? Why is, why did the Democrats not want to, actually set a deadline for withdrawal? It's because, oh no, what will the corporate media say? Oh no, and that is really part of their decision-making process. So I think that with the internet, with some of the excitement and stuff that has come from the internet, we can do this in cities, and I think it can make a really, really big difference. So if you have an organization, take a look at whether there's any money in your budget for independent media, or particularly if you have an advertising budget, take a look at whether you're supporting independent media, because I think it's really such a key component of what we're supposed to be, talking about in terms of the progressive movement at this forum. So anyway, check us out online at atlantaprogressivenews.com and be the media. Thank you. And you might not believe this, but I was an opinion writer before that. I thought of myself as someone who should just kind of reflect on these things. But then what I realized was the reflection really had to do with a disproportion, a lack of facts. And so if you just report the facts, when the facts aren't being reported, then a lot of these opinions will follow from the facts.